So here's a question. You become a father, you become a parent, and you say to yourself, what do we do now? But as the years get older and older and older, your changes of the way you deal with your children can go so many different directions. And what better way to do this than to surprise every single one of you? Because to my left, we have Dr. E. It's a Monday. We have to my right, we know him best as the professor, Nick, and we're all dads. So for this first time, we're going to do an episode based on the father's point of view. I challenge moms to come out and be a part of the next part two. It's all about dads and their children and what we should expect and not look forward to and also miss. Have faith, let it begin. Never had fathers on here before. Starts right now.
It's Monday, and you know what that means. Welcome to Have Faith. Let it begin.
Podcast of inspiration. It's a podcast of hope. It's a podcast of faith, and it's a podcast of friendship.
Here is your host, Angel Santana, and special co-host, Dr. E.
We're a three podcast dive. Please, that's it, man. Let's rock and roll in 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, it's Have Faith, Let It Begin. It's a Monday, which you know is what that means. Dr. E, what's up, buddy?
Hey, my brother, what a wonderful, wonderful angel sandwich we have today. Thank you for bringing my bestie, Nick Lanza, the professor, on. Nick, don't get too comfortable on Mondays. Mondays are my turf. I'm actually going to pee on the computer just to kind of mark my territory. I'll let you on today, but we'll go on together any day but Monday.
You got it, Tom. I wouldn't think of taking your space. Don't worry about it.
So Angel, that's a great challenge. And since I would think that I'm the elder here. Nick might be coming close, but he'll never catch me. Here's the deal. I think you're right, Angel. As a father, you know, our relationship with our kids change. And to be honest with you, they evolve and change quickly. And your relationship with each of your children, if you happen to have more than one, I believe Nick has a beautiful daughter and you have 2 and I have 3. So 1, 2, 3. Each of your children, you have a different relationship with. And again, that also changes. So there's so many different dynamic changes in the demands of fatherhood and the needs of being a father. And that's the way I would start the podcast. Nick, do you agree?
I agree, Tom, and I think that the relationship does shift with the age of your child. It's different when they're young, and then they enter into adolescence, and then they enter into young adulthood, and the needs change, and you got to be nimble and kind of go with all of this.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Angel, I'll tell you a funny story, and then I'm going to let you.
Okay.
I would like to hear the perspective of a young father. So my oldest daughter, Beth Ann, we shipped her off to college, and was 4 hours away. She was at Bucknell, which is a wonderful school out in Pennsylvania. And I remember, being so worried. And what I was worried about, believe it or not, was her, emotional well-being. Like, is she going to be okay? She's away and she's living, you have to actually live in a new place with new people, and you have to get your own meals and wash your own clothes, and you're going to miss home, and you're going to be crying. And I had this vision of my kid getting homesick and crying every freaking second. And her birthday is in September. So, literally after about 2 weeks of school, we shoot out there, and I bring her all of her favorite things and her favorite cupcake and her favorite sandwich and the whole thing. And I was there and I was suffocating her, and I was saying, don't worry, listen, I can come back in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And like, she just was really cool. She kind of just let Dad talk. And then at the end, she goes, Dad, you don't really have to come here in 2 weeks. Like, I'll see you in Thanksgiving. And I was like, I started, what? Oh, what do you mean Thanksgiving? Like, that's 2 months away. Like, she was fine, man. it's like, I think a lot of times we think that our kids are completely helpless without us. And I think that's one of the secrets is to give them, that road to independence and, let them make their own mistakes. And I'm going to let the old man to the right see if he agrees with that. Then we're going to talk to the young steer.
Dr. E, funny that the way you described your daughter at Bucknell, I felt like that, and my daughter went to a local school 30 minutes away.
Exactly. You thought they were never going to survive. Like they're not going to get through the first time. Like there's they fall in love and then they're going to fall flat on their face, or, they're going to get their first like virus, they might get the
Right.
flu and, oh my God, what are they going to do without mom and dad? And, but they do fine. They do fine.
They do fine.
And
Angel, let's hear it from the young steer's perspective.
it really, I think this is an opportunity to say that I've been working on this as a side podcast. I think this was something that I would love to get into with you guys, because I think that a lot of dads, there's a lot of books out there, right? And there's not a book for the help of fathers, and there's not that much gentleman out there that's willing to share some funny stories. So yes, from my point of view as an older dad with young children, you get that first child, the child falls, and you think it's the end of the world. Then all of a sudden you get two children, and when the first one falls again, you're like, well, that's no big deal. It's a cut. Yeah, it's okay, band-aid it, let's go. But here's the question, and I have to ask, and I'll point it to you guys, and then we'll kind of finish this up. My question to you is, a lot of times I am addressed to say the following. They are saying, enjoy the moment because it goes by so fast. And you blink and they are older. So what you just said made me realize what I was hearing. So I guess in a few words, is that an accurate statement? And what do you miss about the old times?
Nick, you go first this time.
I think what I miss the most is the dependency. They're so dependent on you as they're growing up and young, and that, I think that's the thing where the saying comes in: pay attention to every moment because it goes by so quickly. As they get into their early teens and late teens and early adolescence, they don't need you as much anymore, and that's something as a father that you kind of got to get used to, because they're cutting the strings, and they're going to start to fly. So, and you miss that. At least I do.
Oh my
True.
God. Thank you so much. So, did you ever see a movie where there's a action sequence that begins in slow motion, and you see, the bad guy takes the gun out and he shoots, and the bullet like comes out of the gun, and you see the bullet spinning in the air and coming toward the hero's head. And then all of a sudden it gets a little faster and a little faster, a little faster. And then all of a sudden you're back into full speed, if not hyperspeed. So that's sort of what parenthood is. Parenthood it's unbelievably slow until they get out of elementary school. And from the minute that they hit middle school, it's all over. And I will leave you guys with one last inequity, which I think is the greatest unfairness, if that's such a word, in parenthood. So we spend, our lives thinking about being a parent, and then we have the blessing of having our children, and we have no idea what to do, and we just do the best we can, and we make our mistakes, and we do this. But what happens is our life before kids becomes a different life, where these kids now take up our entire consciousness, even when we're working, even when we're playing, even if we're on vacation without them, even if we're out with friends and having a great time, or whatever we're doing in our life, there's still first and foremost, they are us. They basically are our entire lives. And the thing that's unfair is that once you dump that kid off to New Paltz or to Bucknell or to Ock or to, Stanford or wherever you're dumping them for their first day of college, you finally realize that they are our entire life, but we are no longer their entire life. And that is the greatest sadness that you could ever experience as a parent. And then it's really, you spend the rest of your life until you die just trying to get comfortable with that fact.
Absolutely. And I think that, we're going to close out there and we'll let people think about it. And this is the way I want to close it out. And it's like a formal closing with a prayer. In life, we are given an opportunity to raise another person just as we were raised by our own parents. One of the hardest things that you will ever encounter is the unknown. But what you don't realize is that once that child comes into this world, you start to realize that all that stuff that you thought you didn't pick up in the books, they just start to become more natural. And your instincts and all that parent inside of you just takes over. But here's the key thing. When is it okay to think about how to place the foundation of our spirituality in these children? Not so much as engaging them in a religion, but understanding the foundations that we have grown up with, whether it was being home before the streetlight was on, getting home, taking off your play clothes, taking off your school clothes, putting on your play clothes, to making sure that you're all eating at the dinner table, to making sure that you share and trust in your parents with all the information that they need so that you can have that better communication with them to cherish on from those moments and to carry them on with your own. That is where I leave you. So if you're a parent today that has not had that, I encourage you to pick up the phone. If your children are away from home, make that phone call. If your children are still with you, hug them. Read a book with them tonight and pray with God and say, thank you for giving me an opportunity to make things even better than they already have. May God be with you. May he shine his light upon you and grant each and every single one of you peace on earth. On behalf of Mr. Professor Nick and Dr. E, have faith.
Let it begin, baby.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.